Is your book opened? Good. Now, let's continue. Remember to look and listen.
In March 2013, you released The Living Dead, the first film in your neo-noir trilogy. The second film in the series is called Persona. What is Persona about?
Well, Persona it's a short film. It's about the kind of masks that we wear in general life, I guess. It's about how we portray ourselves and how we justify the things we do. With society the way it is today, everybody's got various different personas, you know. There's, with the internet, you have social media sites, everyone has a website almost, and people are very careful how they manage their public image. So, you know, it's about image, it's about how we change our attitudes when we're around different people, and it's about money, I guess, about greed, about love, you know, those general kind of things.
As with The Living Dead, Persona was shot in black and white and portrays a nightmarish urban world. Was there a thematic reason for using this style, or was it for aesthetic reasons?
Well, I shot it in black and white again. I guess the series has that kind of view. It's bleak, it's dark, it has a very kind of a sinister undercurrent. So I used black and white for the theme of the series, but it works in terms of the style of the story and the characters.
The lead character in Persona is a prostitute, played by Gosia Kimiechik. Where did the inspiration for this character come from?
There wasn't like a process of thinking, oh, what is this character about? It was just, that's what I saw initially. When I came up with the idea, I just imagined a girl in a room, but it wasn't necessarily a general girl, it was Gosia. So there wasn't a phase of inspiration for it. It was just the launch pad for the rest of the film. It just started it. It was like the foundation, and then it all evolved, you know, from there really.
Mr. Scruggs, played by Ricky Jameson, is quite a disturbing character. Could you explain a bit about Mr. Scruggs, his image, and his relationship with the bandaged lady?
When I was coming up with the idea in my head, I wanted to have a character that looked fairly normal but also had sort of sinister qualities. So I didn't want to have anything too extravagant. I just wanted something that subtle that would just give you a sense that this character was a little bit wrong in the head, shall we say. And his relationship with the bandaged lady, that kind of went through various phases before I shot it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a love affair or it was kind of just like a submissive employee. I guess his relationship is he's completely in love with the bandaged lady, and I think she appreciates him, but I don't think she's into him that way. I think she's more interested in all sorts of other weird shit. So that's kind of about Mr. Scruggs and his image. He's really just like, he's almost like the Grim Reaper, I guess. He's like, instead of a carriage, he's driving around a Jag, you know, picking up prostitutes ready for the Reaper.
The bandaged lady, played by Samantha Tomlin, has some of the most shocking scenes in the film. What were your inspirations when designing this character and her macabre behaviour?
Well, the bandaged lady, that was the last character that I came up with, and I struggled for a while. Like, when I thought of the idea, I thought of Gosia's character, the prostitute, and then the driver, and there was this kind of lead up to the room. And something about, I knew she was going to die in the room, but I didn't know who was going to do it, and So I went through various phases of trying to think who that would be, what kind of visual character would be good for that. And I don't really know why it became a woman, why it became like a glamorous woman in a gown with bandages. I guess she's obviously, I mean, when I think about that character, I think she's a kind of like an aging beauty queen or something, someone who's kind of hanging on to something and they're trying to sort of find new ways of keeping themselves youthful. So in this case, she cuts off women's faces and wears them and prances around in front of the mirror. So works for her. You could say she's, maybe she hasn't got scars under the bandages. Maybe that's one other explanation for it. Maybe she's just too appalled of herself, so it's kind of, she's wearing masks so she doesn't actually have to look at the real person. So I think there's quite a sort of a depth to that character, but the scenes with Sam and that character are the most sort of, they have the biggest impacts, when she comes out of the shadows and sort of comes over to sort of feel the Gosha's face, check out the goods before she does the dirty on her. That's a bit weird, that scene, and then obviously the bit with the actual mask is quite horrendous.
Which was the most difficult character to cast in Persona?
Gosha's character I didn't cast because when I saw the character in my head, it was her. No one else could have played that because it was very distinct. The Bandage Lady, again, I had Samantha in mind once I decided that was the road I was going down. So there wasn't necessarily a casting for those two. For the driver, that was something I did put out there. And then when Ricky applied, he just looked exactly like the character. The character that I had in my head was the way Ricky looked. So he was tall, kind of balding, with slightly sort of unusual features, and so that was the toughest one to cast because I didn't know anyone directly who fitted this kind of role. But Ricky came out of the woodwork somewhere and works perfectly. As the scenes with Ricky look great. He's really, really, really creepy looking in a lot of the scenes, and it worked. Yeah, so it worked perfectly.
Your costume designer, Colleen Morris, has worked on several big budget productions such as Inside Man, The Sopranos and Law and Order. Could you explain how you and Colleen went about creating the costumes for the prostitute and the Bandage Lady?
Well, I sat down with Colleen, just kind of gave her the gist of what I thought the characters would wear in a kind of fairly vague way. I saw a big gown for the Bandage Lady, and I saw, something kind of a bit sexy for the prostitute, but with something showing off Gosha's tattoos on her back. I gave Colleen the brief. She was very good. She came back with lots of different alternatives, and we sort of, picked out the ones we thought worked. And over a period of weeks, we had several fittings with Gosha and Sam. Worked our way through, just sort of fine-tuned it, and just ironed out any issues with the outfits. And on the day they were all fantastic. So it was a pleasure working with Colleen, and the outfits were amazing. I don't know how she does it.
Persona is littered with unusual imagery. Could you elaborate on the use of props and how you created such a surreal atmosphere?
The atmosphere of Persona was important. It wasn't just about the three actors, it wasn't just about the costumes or the way I shot it. There needed to be other little things in there that would create a sense of a surreal atmosphere, a weird world, a kind of like a spiraling darkness that you're going into. So there's for example, in the car you've got the three heads that are swinging back and forth, and they were just like little plastic Barbie doll heads. I bought a packet, and then I just sat in my kitchen one morning and customized three of them, and they're very interesting looking, very strange, but I don't really know how they came out like that. And then there's the other one, the one in the back seat with this kind of eyes separated from the face, and that was kind of a very good sort of interpretation of wearing masks, so you have the face comes away, and behind it you've got the eyes. So the eyes is like a representation of your real personality, and the face is the sort of public image that you put out there. So that gave the driver his kind of his weird little set of wheels with his strange oddities in there. You have all the stuff on the table when Ghosh's character walks into the kind of kill room, and then obviously, and the skin mask was something that just by chance I got off a friend, Adam, who's I'm going to be working with on another film, that he made little liquid latex masks, and I guess the other main one would be the glasses, Ricky's glasses. When I was coming up with the idea for Ricky's character, I wanted something like unusual of his appearance, so I thought about having like braces or something that would keep his mouth open so you could see sort of his teeth or things like that. Realistically, that wasn't going to work, so I just thought I'll get a few pairs of these sunglasses and try and smash them and then put bits back in, and it was just chance really that they broke in the way they did, and then I glued one piece back and they looked amazing. Yeah, I think they were fantastic, and they really added a really strange quality to that, all the scenes with Ricky, I think. But I mean, they're all the props. I mean, there's probably others I forgot, but it's it definitely gives the film a real deeper atmosphere, I think.
The main theme to Persona was produced by Tom DeLay Beats and Clay Hillman. Why did you choose that track, and how did it influence the project?
I listened to this track the first day he sent it to me, and I just immediately started visualising this story. So within a day, I guess, the music had kind of inspired me to come up with the idea for the prostitute character and the driver. It was about a week or so later that the rest of this project unfolded in my head, but it wasn't a case that I chose that track. I heard it, and it kind of laid down a landscape for me, and I populated that landscape with things and characters and people, situations that I felt related to the kind of the foundations through the music. It's just, I really like the hip hop beat, I like the piano, and I like the kind of the haunting, there's a voice in there, and all those things combined, it's just a fantastic piece of music, and it works perfectly with the film, because the film really was born out of listening to the music. So that's the relation between the music and the film, really.
Do you feel Persona is an improvement on The Living Dead, or is it hard to compare the two films in such a way?
I mean, in terms of the production level, the attention to detail, and the overall kind of preparation phase, I would say it is an improvement, but it's just done in a different way. The Living Dead I just made up as I was going along. Persona, I came up with the idea, I got the team together, I storyboarded the whole thing, I bought props, designed, created the props, worked with Colleen to get the costumes done, worked with the people to help me with locations, organised the shoots, so it's a lot more structured than The Living Dead. The Living Dead was really just completely off the cuff and, make it up as you go along. This was very much, this is the idea, and just evolve it one stage at a time. So it was more controlled. Whether that makes it better, I don't know, but I think it's got a better, it's got a better finish to it. It has a bit more of a polished look, I think. And I always try and improve every film one after the other. So yeah, it's difficult to compare them, but I think I've learned from the previous projects, and I've sort of fine-tuned my methods. So I've improved my methods, you could say. Whether the film's better, I don't know. That's up to the people who watch to decide. Final question. Persona is the second part of the neo-noir trilogy. Orange, do you have any insight into the third and final instalment, and when can we expect to see it on our screens? Well, there is a third instalment. I don't have a title for it at the moment. I have a team. The new one is kind of about unlikely friendships. So about characters who initially you have an idea about what they're like based on their appearance, but once you get beyond their appearance, they're actually completely different to what you expected. So that's the theme of the third one. Once this one is out there and done, I will get on that, and hopefully that one will go as well as the other two.